I hope you are having a fantastic week so far. Okay, let's see what's. Hi, babe. How are you guys tonight? I will say I was like this last week too. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't know if I really have anything. And then inspiration hit. I was sitting in the living room and I told Brian, I don't really have, I think, like, what if I didn't go live tonight? I don't really have anything to say. Like, I was feeling kind of burned out. Oh, look at that. And he goes, oh, you never know what you're going to say at 3 o'clock anyways. And I was like, okay, well, just wait and see. And then inspiration struck, and I'll tell you all about it in a minute. Also, I want you to know I'm dressed for success on the top, and I absolutely have sweatpants on. So, you know, that's the benefit of going live on the interwebs. How are y'all? Are you good? You have found yourself an online step to success, and I'm glad that you're here. We go live every Tuesday night, as long as I feel like I have something to say. Apparently, we go live every Tuesday night. In our sweatpants. And I really didn't want to go live tonight. I didn't feel that good today. I don't know, just junk. But here we are. So some of you saw my teaser. Annette, you are so sweet. Thank you, love. And thanks to whoever said my hair looks great. You are just full of the compliments tonight. If I could see you, I would tell you how great you look. I'm sure that you look fab. I'm sure that you do. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. I'm glad that you are here. My name is Allison Dalkey, and like I said before, this online step to success, and we are here live every Tuesday night. I have been a Cincy consultant for 11 years now, a superstar director for 10, and this is our gig. This is what we do, and it is my greatest joy to help other women do this direct sales thing well, because I believe it can be done well. And our goal at Online Step to Success is to help you dream bigger, work smarter, make a profit, and change your world and the world of the people around you. So I believe you can do that with your business, and we are always striving to give you the tools to help make that happen. So I'm so glad that y'all are here. But tonight we're talking about something that maybe I wouldn't always talk about, because it's sort of negative, I guess, but it's also not. It's just very real. And I saw a thread today in a Facebook group, and it just popped up in my feed. And I think probably because I was tagged in it. But anyways, I saw this thread and started reading some comments, and I was like, I've so been there. Like, so been there. And the whole thread was about feeling burnt out. And so I want to preface by saying maybe tonight is not for you. Like, maybe you're not, heck, maybe you started yesterday. You're not burnt out yet. But I promise you that if you do this long enough, and I mean, I don't want to say I promise you, but it's just real. I started making a list of all the times I have been burnt out in this business. It's very long. It's lengthy. I'm not going to go over the whole list with you because it's so long. But you will get the point. You will definitely get the point. I want to know, though, of those of you watching, like, how many of you would say, I get it, like 100%. I feel like that. I feel burnt out. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. I feel like I'm not making progress. Maybe you're just tired. Maybe you are just tired. If any of you would say that's totally me, I want to know. I want to know. Yeah. We got some hand raises. Faux show. Okay, so first of all, based on the hand raises, friends, you are not alone. You are not alone. I'm having trouble seeing comments, which is really annoying. So let's see if I can see it over here. I'm pulling this video up. Hold on just a second. I don't like it when you can't see comments. I guess I look at comments on my phone. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe that's what I'll do, because I want to be able to see your comments, because it's really not helpful if it's not a conversation. Huh? Okay, hold on. Sorry, y'all. Just me being unprofessional, not being prepared. Actually, I just want to see what you're saying. Nope, I don't want to hear myself. Okay. Okay, look at all your comments. 100%, I feel that way and will leave it overwhelmed. Okay, great. Lots of hand raises. Ashley, you have had a rough year, friend. Okay. So you guys know what I'm talking about then. Great. Someone's not burnt out, I'm just tired. I feel you. I feel you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what burnout is. I think I know that I talked about burnout before, but tonight I want to talk about just the real and rawness of it, because as we approach the holiday season, as you've been working this whole year, right, to grow your business, maybe this is the time when it just feels really heavy to you. And I want to give you some practical tools. I also just want to give you my very honest opinion about where I've been and the things that have pushed me into burnout and how I got out of that. So I also want to say something that Brian said to me tonight. He said, the hottest fires burn out the quickest. And I was like, oh, that's so good. And it's very, very true. What do I mean by that? Like, how does that relate to this situation? So, if you've been around for any amount of time, I don't like the word hustle. It's just not my favorite. I don't love the concept of hustling. I don't love the idea of hustling. There's just a lot of things I don't love about it. I like intentional work. I like purposeful work, which I guess are the same thing. But I don't love hustle. I like hard work, but there's something about hustle that seems, I don't know. I don't love it. So when he said to me, the hottest fires burn out quickly, I think about hustlers. Like, see, it just is kind of, the word hustle has a negative connotation to me. I think about the work method of living. And I just don't think it's fruitful. And I don't think it's sustainable. And I don't think it's good for your family or your marriage or your life. So when we think about the hottest fires burning out the quickest, we've seen that happen before in the Scentsy world. Just people coming in and like being on, there's nothing wrong with being on fire, but there is a wrong and a right way to be on fire, and you don't want to be so hot that you can't maintain long term. I believe that this is something that can be done for a long time and done well. So my goal is not for you to hustle or for you to be sold out to this. My goal for you is to run your business well for a really long time so you can live a life of purpose. That's the whole goal of this business endeavor. So I want to give you a little bit of true stories. So the first time I got burnt out, or that I felt burnt out, I was home raising 2 babes. My daughter was probably 3. So when I joined Scentsy, she was 9 months old. And I only had 1. And then, obviously, my second kiddo was born when she was 2. So my first kind of burnout really came about 1.5 years in, because I was trying to be everything for everybody. I was trying to be mama to 2 littles at home while running and building a business. And it got to the point where I was just overwhelmed because I felt like I couldn't do it all well. And I was trying to do too much for too many people on my team. So I was leading teams for leaders who had already promoted to director, but I continued to lead their teams. And it was my fault. I told them that I would. I said something to the effect of, well, since I'm not working, I'll keep leading your team until you're ready. Well, guess what? They're not going to be ready until you push them out of the nest. That's how baby birds learn how to fly. They get pushed out of the nest. Well, I didn't know that. I just thought I was helping. No, what I was doing, I was hurting myself and I was hurting my leaders. It wasn't wise of me. And then I got burnt out. It wasn't good. I got resentful. And the thing about that period of time is we were doing well in our business. We were making money and we were growing. And I was burnt out. There's a lot of scenarios of burnout. They don't all look like that, but that was one situation for me. The second time I got burnt out, we had 2 foster babies and our 2 kiddos. I wouldn't say I was neglectful of my business, because one thing that I have done well for the past 11 years has been ridiculously consistent. And I have preached forever on Online Steps to Success that it is consistency that grows your business and sustains your business long-term. It's not really excellence in any one area. It's ridiculous consistency over and over again. So I was consistent, but my heart was not in it. And I was not passionate. And I was a little distracted by our foster babies and our kids. I became a mom of 4 overnight, and it was a lot. And my husband was in ministry at the time, and it was just a lot. We were going through a lot of life stuff. And that's what happens sometimes. We get burnt out because life stuff happens. And I was so there. I was so there. And I kind of lost my fire. It was also a season when I didn't have to work very hard to turn a profit. Now, this sounds bad, but some of you are going to know exactly what I'm saying, and that's why I'm saying it. My business had grown exponentially to a point at that time where I had recurring customers. I wasn't hustling to try to get parties to sell PRV. I could have been hustling to get recruits, but I probably just wasn't at that time. But I lost my fire because I wasn't having to work very hard, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And life was just happening, so I was letting it happen. I was doing my job, I was being consistent, but I was not passionate. The third time I got burnt out, oh, look at this, numerous times, over and over again. I was a new mama to baby number 3. And I was homeschooling a first grader because that sounds logical. And I couldn't figure out how to manage it all well. And I desperately wanted to lead leaders. And I wanted to help the leaders on my team grow and be profitable and sustain their business. But I could not figure out how to hold everything by myself. I was really, really, really tired. And I lacked vision. And I was completely overcommitted in several areas of my life. It wasn't just about feeling overwhelmed with Scentsy. It was about feeling overwhelmed with life, and that poured into Scentsy. And I just got burned out again. The 4th time I got burnt out, we were stagnant. We were not growing, and we were actually decreasing. So my team size and my group size wasn't increasing. It was decreasing. And it was freaking bumming me out. And so, imagine this, I got burnt out. Unmotivated, uninspired also. And very, very much lacking vision in my business. But at that time, I really did resent it because it was our sole source of income. And I couldn't walk away. And I think that even fueled my burnout even more. So the 5th time, the 6th time, the 7th, I could go on and on and on about all of the times that I have been burnt out. And every time it was for a different reason. And we were in a different season. And there was different things happening and different dynamics happening in my business. But I don't really know what good it would do for me to tell you every single one. But I think what might be helpful is for me to talk about the last 2 years when I haven't been burnt out one time, when I've had clarity and purpose and vision, maybe for the first time ever. I think that maybe that would be helpful, because maybe I can help you get to that place too. That would be the goal, right? So almost exactly 2 years ago, on December 8th, I had a prophylactic bilateral mastectomy. And some of you have heard that story. I'm not going to go into the details of that right now, but if you want to talk about that, we can. Not right now, but we can talk about it. But what that season of my life taught me about was rest. And it gave me a lot of perspective on all the other times that I had been burned out. I learned how to be still. I learned how to rest. I learned how to think clearly, maybe for the first time ever. That season was also extremely emotional and hard. And I had to heal physically, but also I had to heal emotionally. And I learned a lot about myself in that season. I had to journal a lot. I had to process. I had to rest. I also prepared my business for that season when I kind of really did take some time off. And I prepared for that season off because the year before I had taken 4 weeks off over Christmas. And on purpose, planned, prepared, intentional. And if you've been around for a long time, I talk about it all the time, how we take 4 weeks off every year and people think I'm crazy. And so many of you have told me I'm crazy until you tried it. And then you're like, that's the most brilliant thing I ever did. Wow, yes, it is. So I was ready to prepare for that season because I had done the work the year before to get ready for a month off. And I knew I could do it. And I actually had time to rest and breathe and think. After that season in December, so I had surgery December 8th, it was very healing and restful and hard and all the things kind of December. That next January, Brian and I got away for a little bit and did some dreaming. And it was just a time when the two of us got together and sat down and asked a million questions. A million questions. Some of them were really crazy hard questions too. Questions like, what would we do if we didn't have to work? What would we do if we didn't have a mortgage? What would we do if we had all the time in the world? What are the things that break our hearts? What makes us righteously angry? What does our family stand for? What do we want our family to stand for? If we could go anywhere and see anything, where would we go and what would we see? All the questions that we started asking each other and ourselves. What do we want to give back to the world? What were we giving back to the world? Anything? What do we believe we were created to do, each of us, individually and together? From that dream session, and several more since then, we decided on some big, big dreams, big, scary dreams, things that seemed crazy and nutso. And I'm telling you this because it is those big, crazy dreams that we have that keeps us from being burnt out. It keeps purpose and fuel in our business. Here's the deal. I get that it's not hard or that it's not easy to do that. It's not easy to ask those questions. It's not easy to answer those questions because sometimes we're just trying to pay the bills. Sometimes we're just trying to make sure everybody in our family eats. I get all of that. I get all of that. And I really believe that the enemy wants you in a place where you're just trying to pay your bills always and forever. But I believe we were created to do more than that. And that is why I love this business, because it gives you the opportunity to grow and build something that lets you live a life that you chose, that you went after, that you chased, not that happened to you. Because sometimes we accidentally end up living lives that just happen to us instead of intentionally living lives that we created and we designed based on the things that we're good at, based on the gifts we've been given, based on the experiences we've had, based on the things that break our heart. So instead of taking all of those things in our lives that actually matter to us, because it's different for all of us, instead of doing all that, instead of taking the time to answer those questions, we sit and we just say, but I have to pay the bills. I know that you have to pay the bills. But you will always just be paying the bills if you can't learn how to dream. If you can't learn how to push yourself to say, what if? That's what dreaming's about. It's asking yourselves the questions, what if? And then the thing about this business is it allows you to have a fuel for something, to grow this business with purpose and intention, so you can go after those things that seemed a little bit what if. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to talk. I see what you're saying. I see I see some of your comments. I haven't seen all of them. But I see some of them. And we're going to address them. So we get to a place where we feel stuck, stagnant, muddled when things don't quite make sense to you. Does that make sense? Like when things are just a little foggy. That is a place where you're lacking something. And from that lacking, there has to become something bigger. I do want to share with you a couple things. We walked away from our dream session with big dreams. We decided we wanted to take our kids abroad for a year. When our baby was 6, she is 3. Do the math. That's a big, scary, crazy. 1,000 things could go wrong. 1,000 things say we should never do that or couldn't do that. And guess what? We just decided to say, but we're going to. We decided we wanted to create a space for people to come rest and dream and remember who they are and what they were here to do. Right now, that's our home. We're actually gearing up for one of our next retreats this coming weekend, and I'm thrilled. But we have a vision. I actually have a piece of land tacked to my wall because we have a vision of and a dream for land and space and lodging for people to come and stay. And before we asked all these questions, we had none of this in our radar, none of it. We decided we wanted to invest in other people's marriages, something we feel called to do. Scary, kind of crazy, something we feel like we need to be doing. I decided I have to write this book that's in my soul. And we walked away from that dream session knowing that above all else, we wanted to glorify God in all that we do. The work that we do, our family, our kids, our life, everything that we do. If it can't point back to God, what's the point? So we walked away. It's kind of like I went into that season. I just come off this major surgery. And I was in that place where I felt muddled. I felt stuck. I felt confused. And spending some time with Brian and really pressing into these questions is what caused me to have vision and gave me passion and purpose back that I hadn't had in a long time. What's interesting about those goals, not a single one of them was about Scentsy. Not one. But all of those goals have pushed my business forward and grown it over the past 2 years in ways that I know it would not have if it weren't for those big, dreamy type goals. there's not a goal about being in the circle of excellence, which would be the next step for me. If that happens, that'll be great. But it's not something I'm working towards actively because I'm working towards all these other things. And if that happens in the process, fan-freaking-tastic. It'll be amazing. But I have my eye on a different prize. And I think sometimes we get confused on where to put our eyes. And some of you have put your eyes on a title, on a promotion, on a number, on a size. And I don't want to say that you shouldn't have your eye on those things. It's not a bad goal to have, but it can't be the only goal. It just can't. When a title or a promotion or a number or a certain amount of PRV or a certain amount of parties, when that is the only goal, heck yes, you're going to be burnt out. What are you living for? Like, what are you actually working towards? Because I have a hard time saying if that's even worth it. I don't know that it is. You have got to have something bigger driving you. And it cannot be wrapped up in this. It can't be wrapped up in this. It has to be bigger. It has to be bigger. You will feel burnt out sometimes. But it's just a feeling. It's a feeling. It doesn't mean that it's truth. When you work a 9 to 5 or when you have a job where you have a boss, you get burnt out, right? Who could honestly say, I have worked a job for somebody else and I've never once been burnt out? That's craziness. That's crazy. Of course you're going to get burnt out. You're going to get burnt out in any single thing that you step into. Anything. Anything. Because it's your job. But you keep showing up, right? If I have a boss and I have to go, I used to teach school. I had to show up every day and teach school regardless of how I felt. Did I feel burned out sometimes? Yes. Did I feel tired sometimes? Yes. Did I feel like I didn't want to teach 8th graders how to write? Yes. Yes. Well, what did I do? I kept showing up because it was my job. One of the things we get misconstrued in this business is we say we want it to be a business and we say we want it to be a job and we say we want it to make us money, but we only let it do those things and we only do the work for those things to happen when we feel like it or when it's convenient for us. Convenience and feelings aren't going to cut it anymore. You're going to have to decide that you have to keep showing up. You have to keep showing up. Now, here's the thing. Some of you are showing up and doing the wrong things. Let's just get that out of the way. Some of you are doing the wrong things. Some of you are doing the wrong things. You cannot, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same things over and over again with no results. That's the definition of insanity. Okay, if it's not working, change it. For crying out loud. How many times have you heard me say that? Change it. If something you're saying or doing isn't working, there's a reason it's not working. It's time to try something else. There are 1,500 different ways you can run this business. 1,500 different ways you can meet new people, expand your network, sell online, create a profitable social media business. Like so many million things you can do. If something you are not doing or something you're doing is not working, change it. Learn something new. You are the only person stopping you from that. That's it. Hands down, you can change those things. Here's the thing about a job. It's a tool. If I have a 9 to 5, if I have a boss, that is a tool, right? It's a resource it's a tool that gives me resources. So I have a job where I go and do work and people pay me for that, right? That's a tool that provides me resources that let me pay my bills, okay? Your business is the same thing, but so much more. The same thing, but so much more. The so much more part is what makes it hard. All right, here's what I mean with the same thing. It's the same thing. You show up, you do your job well, you get paid. You sell product, you build a team, you train leaders, you equip and empower people, you get paid, right? Great. You showed up, you did the work, you get paid. That, in that aspect, it's just like a job. Here's where it's not like a job. You don't have a boss. So nobody is there holding you accountable. Nobody. Not even your sponsor, not your director, because you don't even have to do what they say, right? You're an independent consultant. It's a beautiful thing. And it's a messy thing. It's a messy thing because I don't have a boss. I don't have anybody to hold me accountable. And sometimes I don't feel like it, right? So the part that makes it beautiful is also the part that makes it messy. And you have to acknowledge that and be aware of it. Sometimes I'm not going to feel like it. Sometimes crap's not going to work and I'm just going to keep saying it's not working and that's going to be my excuse and I'm not going to learn anything new and I'm not going to take the steps I need to actually change. That's a problem. It's a problem. This is a tool, but it's also so much more. My very best friends in the entire world have come from this business. We have made more money doing this than we've ever made doing anything else. We've been able to give more, love more, serve more because of this business. That's what makes it so much more than just a job. I've gotten to watch other women and men's lives just completely changed. That's what makes this more than a job. That's why you have to fight through burnout. Okay, here's the deal. If you're in burnout, you got there from an unhealthy thing. And it's not necessarily your fault, but there's a way out. I have questions I want you to start thinking through and asking yourself because they really, really matter. Some questions. If you are in burnout, I had to add one more. Sorry. Okay. Questions I want you to ask yourself. If you had a boss in your Scentsy business, so if I'm your boss and pretend I'm a mean one, would you have been fired by now? I have to ask myself this a lot. Would I have fired me for doing my job? There have been seasons when I would have said yes. She should have been fired because she didn't do her job. If you had a boss in your Scentsy business, would they have fired you by now? Another question. Are you only showing up when you feel like it? Or are you showing up consistently? There's no right or wrong answers. I'm just asking. Are you working without a bigger vision? Hint, if your only goal is a Scentsy goal, you're lacking vision. And probably purpose. Are you doing profit-generating work? So when I talk about doing the right things, when I talk about, earlier I said, there's a chance you're doing the wrong things. When I talk about, the right things would be things that make you money, profit-generating things. And if the things you're trying aren't working, one, we start with our words because your words matter so much. The way that you say things matters a ton. And if you're not doing it well, you've got to learn how to do it better. You ask for advice from your leaders. You ask someone above you. You seek out other Scentsy people who are doing it well. What are they saying? Watch what they're saying. Are they getting reaction from it? There are a million ways to learn how to do it right. But doing the right things means doing profit-generating things that are making you money, okay? Another question to ask yourself. Are you using your God-given talents and gifts in your business. If not, you're missing a step. When I look at the people who I think have the most beautiful businesses, who are working with the most purpose and intention and vision, they are always, always, always utilizing the gifts that they've been given in their business somehow. Somehow. It's a couple of my top spiritual gifts: teaching, exhortation, hospitality. I do all those things in my business, and intentionally. Initially, I didn't really. I wasn't always like thinking about the things that I was naturally good at and putting those into my business. So, are you using your gifts and talents in your business? Here's a good one. Are you monitoring your screen time? One of my burnouts was definitely caused by social media. I was too engulfed, too wrapped up, too concerned with everybody else. And I didn't mean to, but I did. Are you monitoring your screen time? And then along with that, who are you following? What are you watching? Who have you surrounded yourself with? Both physically, people in real life, but also people online. Because what you're seeing on your screen is consumption in your heart and your soul. So whatever you're seeing, whatever you're getting, you can't unhear it or unsee it. You can't unread something. So if you're soaking in negativity over and over again, if all you're hearing is negative, what do you start to believe? Your brain it's changeable. You can actually mold your brain. You can change you can rewire it. If all I'm ever hearing is negative, that's what I'm going to start to believe is true. Who have you surrounded yourself with? What are you watching? What are you consuming? Who are you following? That unfollow thing is powerful. Click it. Just click it. It's really great. It's so great. Are you praying about your business? Are you tithing? Are you learning and growing? And why are you doing this? If you can't answer the question why, you're going to get burnt out. You're going to get burnt out. If you have a why, you won't. Melissa. Oh, hold on. Who is this? Why can't I see these comments? Hold on. We got to talk about this. Well, shoot. Ashley Miller. First of all, here's the thing. Everybody has their story. Everybody has their story. But this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about purpose. Ashley she works full-time as a cardiac sonographer. She has 6 boys, one of which has leukemia, and their house burnt down this year. She said, I had so many reasons to give up this year or put Cincy on the back burner, but I promoted to director. Ashley, I would love for you to comment and tell us why you do this. Because I guarantee you, I don't know. She didn't say. She has an incredible story. But you don't have an incredible story without purpose and vision. Because that's 1,000 million reasons to quit. It's 1,000 reasons to walk away. to say it's too much. I can't. But when you have vision and purpose behind what you're doing, it's a lot easier to get out of the burnout. It's a lot easier to keep moving forward, right? Here's 2 other things I want you to consider. I send this very lengthy survey to everyone who attends our retreats. And one of the questions is, do you believe Scentsy can change your life? And it seems like a pretty basic question, but it's actually not. It's a loaded question. Do you actually believe that this business can change lives? Because what you believe will determine what you achieve. I was trying to think of another word than achieve because it sounds really cheesy, but I couldn't. But I'm serious. What you believe and what you believe about what this company can do will absolutely determine the steps that you take and the ability or the amount of times that you show up when you don't feel like it based on what you believe about this company. So the question becomes, do you believe that this business can change lives? If you don't anymore, or if you don't and you never did, it might not be for you. But if you do, if you still believe after the years, after the months, after the days you've been a consultant that this business changes lives, you're in the right company and the right place. Because it does. And the thing I love about the answers I read in that survey, the next question is, the first one of the questions is, do you believe Scentsy can change lives? The next question is, how has it changed yours? And when people start to write that down, when you just pause for a second to think about it, it's incredibly emotional and incredibly moving. Somebody told me one time when I was in a burnout stage to sit down and write down all the people that I knew because of this business. And I couldn't even do it all. Like I couldn't stop writing. And this was years and years ago. Like even then, it had profoundly impacted and changed my life because of the people that I knew and had surrounded myself with because of Scentsy. Start to ask yourself the hard questions. But don't just ask them, answer them. And then start reminding yourself why you know this business changes lives. And remind yourself how it changed yours. You know where the devil wants you? He wants you right in the middle of burnout over and over and over again, forever and ever. Because are you going to be effective there? Nope. Are you going to be influential there? Nope. Are you going to be encouraging and equipping people when you're burnt out? Nope. Are people going to want to be on your team when you're burnt out? No. They're not. They're not. You are the only one who can turn it around. And it's possible. I promise. I've done it more times than I can count. But it's not easy either. Because I do think moving through burnout means growing and changing. And sometimes the hardest, messiest part of this business is the growing and the changing that, gosh dang it, we have to keep doing over and over again. It's also one of the most beautiful things about this business. Because I am not the same person that I was. And I know I would be a different person regardless. But I'm a good version of who I should be because of this business. Because I kept stepping into the growth that needed to happen. And I keep stepping into the growth that needs to happen. And gosh, sometimes it's messy. And sometimes I hate it. And sometimes I don't want to. And sometimes I'm like a kid that doesn't want to go to bed. Like, oh, That's what I feel like sometimes, like, or I'll stall, need 17 glasses of water before I actually get to the hard work. This is hard work. It's hard soul work because you are being changed in the process. Burnout, it's just a place that you have to grow through. It's a place where you're being challenged to change and move. You're the only one that can move out of it. It's time to do the work of moving. I want to share with you something that was kind of the reason that it was one of the reasons that I chose to have a bilateral prophylactic mastectomy. And I was kind of wrestling with this decision that got put before me. And I was in my Bible. And at the end, in the middle of Exodus, even if you know nothing about the Bible, this will help. In the middle of Exodus, the Israelites are running away from the Egyptians once again. And the Lord hardens Pharaoh's heart, and the Egyptians are mad, or the Israelites are mad. They're just like irritated, like, this really sucks. They actually say we would have been better as slaves. Like, we should have just been slaves. That would have been easier. Maybe. But I don't think we were created for easy. I think we were created for greatness. And what's crazy is the Israelites are complaining, and Moses cries out to the Lord. They're complaining. I don't know what to do. And the Lord says, tell them to stop complaining. Tell them to be still, that I will fight for them. And then he says the most profound thing that nobody ever mentions. People talk a lot about that verse where God says, I will fight for you. You need only to be still. In Exodus 14. And everybody talks about that because that sounds good. The Lord's going to fight for you. Just be still. The very next sentence, though, he says, and tell these Israelites to move. Move. Be still and move. It's kind of contradictory. Nobody ever talks about it. Be still and move. And what he was asking them to do was move towards the Red Sea. So the Egyptians are coming for them. The only place to go is back towards the Egyptians or straight towards the Red Sea. There's like no exit. Red Sea or the Egyptians. God tells them to move towards the Red Sea. And it is that movement that got them to the edge of the Red Sea where God did something that they could never have done. Sometimes we have to do our part in moving when we're whining, when we're complaining, when maybe we rather would have been slaves. We have to do our part to move, to take the next steps so that we can get to the place where things start to work out for us. Things aren't going to work out because we stop working. Things are going to work out because we do the hard work of moving. Do you really believe this changes lives? How has it changed yours? And what are your next steps? What do you need to learn? Where do you need to grow? How do you need to change? What do you need to move towards? It's time to move. It is time for you to move. You only get out of burnout by moving. And it's time. Hi, honey.
Hi, baby.
Did you want to say anything?
I just told you I was going to come in here, so.
Hi.
Hi. How's it going?
Well, I don't know.
I've been watching on and off. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's fine.
Actually, I did. Let's put you over there. Did you even know that that's what's happening?
No. I was just checking. I was checking. I can't see comments up there. I need to start doing my phone again.
I know. What's the deal? Why can't you see it? I heard you say something about that.
It just doesn't update. See, 264 new comments on my page.
Someone said, I really wish I had an upline that was there for you. Here's the thing, guys. We have a good upline now because we've rolled up to an amazing SSD, but we didn't have an upline because we didn't really have any leadership when we first got in. We didn't know to reach out to other people. We didn't know any of that. So it is good to have cheerleaders that help you along the way, that will cheer you on, that will help motivate you. But honestly, that motivation needs to come from within you, and it needs to come from the places that are already around you, whether that be your spouse or your kids or your current workplace or your friends, whatever groups you're running in that can hold you accountable, that can, try to help you in those ways. I heard something one time. I'm going to butcher this. I don't remember the exact saying. And I don't know if this is like a saying or if someone just had a moment of wisdom they were telling me. But someone told me one time, cheerleaders aren't at practice because the cheerleaders are for the fans. They're not there for the players. So
I don't really do that much cheerleading.
It's great to have cheerleaders that cheer you on along the way. But a lot of times the cheerleaders aren't there in the daily struggle. They're not there in all the practices, right? They're there when they see those high point moments. Now, granted, we live in this world now where your moments, high or low, can look like whatever you want them to because of social media. And so you get a lot of cheerleaders for things that maybe you wouldn't normally. And that's okay in some ways. But in a lot of ways, guys, the cheerleaders, the ones that are there to encourage you and cheer you on, need to be there for the super high and the super lows. But all the in-between stuff, you've got to have something inside of you, some driver, something that is each and every day causing you to wake up, get out of bed, get dressed, get in the shower, do all the things you have to do to be ready for the day, to take the day on. And whatever that looks like, whether that's going to 8 to 5, doing Cincy part-time in between all the other stuff for now, or whether it's doing it full-time. Honestly, it's harder to work from home than it is to go to a job because there's days you can sleep in. There's days you don't have to get up. We're in a season right now where we have to get up because we have kids going to school early and all of that. But I could very easily in the near future see a time when our kids have the capability of getting up on their own and feeding themselves and driving to school. It would be really hard to get out of bed some days, but you have to get out of bed. You've got to create that routine. And to do that and to want to do it every day, you've got to have something that you're driving toward. You've got to have a goal. You've got to have dreams. You've got to have both those things, actually, not one or the other. They're not exclusive, but you've got to have things that are driving you each and every day. And in the good days, it's a great thing to look at to keep moving, but it's the bad days that are the reasons you have those things to go to and to run to. Those are the days. I think your whole thing tonight's about hitting a wall. When you do hit those walls, there's got to be something pushing you harder than the wall that you're hitting. And that's going to be unique to each of you, but you have to have it.
So I want to address a few comments because I was just catching up on comments. First of all, Ashley Miller, I asked what is her, because I said, that stuff doesn't happen. You don't have that kind of positive growth in your business when all that crap in your life happens without a purpose. And she said, I'm constantly praying about what that purpose is. I've been able to go down to 3 days a week of working. And she said, later on, I do this for my family and to give my kids the extras that they need. That is push and drive. And that's what you need. Sometimes you lose your fire because you hit the goal that you thought you wanted and it's not quite what you thought it was going to be. It happens too. Okay, I want to say, yeah, I almost did cry today, Amy. Okay, somebody said, how do you do this and work a full-time job? Good question. Great question. It is all about time management. So, and this is where if you are working a full-time job, it is vital that you really kind of put some structure and some hours to your business so that you know when you're working, how you're working, why you're working. I grew my business working full-time and basically being a single mom. He was around, but he was working 80 hours a week. And so I was so regimented on when I was working my business and how I was growing it and what I was doing intentionally. And this was before social media. Like social media wasn't a thing. And so I didn't even have the luxury of trying to do online stuff. The people who were growing online were spending tons of money on Google ads and SEO stuff. And I didn't know anything about it. So I did what I knew how to do. And most of my business in the early days was born through home parties and hosting. And somebody asked earlier, how to use hospitality in your business, that exact thing. We talked about the Buddy Drive a few weeks ago. We're doing a huge Buddy Drive fundraiser here in a couple weeks where we're having people over for dinner and drinks and obviously Scentsy, but it's going to be a huge buddy fundraiser. And that's one of the ways that I use hospitality in my business. And it works for me. There's other things I don't do because it doesn't align with gifts that I've been given. And that's perfectly fine too. But really when it comes back to your job, when you're working full time, it is so much about intentionality with your time. You have to be even more guarded and you have to have even bigger purpose. So I was able, I think, to grow my business the way that I did because I was so laser focused. I really wanted to quit my job, not because I didn't love my job. I actually did love my job, but I wanted to be home with my little girl. And I didn't know that I was going to want that. And then, you have a baby and it happened. And so I was laser focused. My purpose was big and it was crazy at the time. I didn't even really know if it was, I knew it was possible, but I wasn't sure. It's not like there were people out there saying like, here's how much money you could make. Here's what you could do. I didn't really know that. I mean, I looked at the compensation plan and said, I guess I just need to work my way up the promotion ladder. And that's what I did. And the whole goal was I wanted to be home with her and replace my teaching income. And so laser focus and knowing why you're doing this, but then you've got to be intentional with your time. And I would say be super intentional with the way that you're setting up your business. You really, as you're building, you need to focus on PRV, meaning you need to build up a customer base and you need to focus on building your team. So those two main areas that you should have goals around every month, PRV and team building. And the way that you go about doing that, if you're working full-time, should be pretty specific. So if you know that you don't have time to do home parties, that's fine. Do Facebook Live parties, do Instagram Live parties, do basket parties, send testers to people at work, whatever. Be strategic about the most efficient way that you can sell PRV. And then the same thing for recruiting. What kind of conversations are you having? With whom? Are you doing that on social media? Are you reaching out to people? There's a gazillion ways you can do it, but be strategic about what you're doing when you're working full time and be laser focused about why you're doing it. Okay. One other question was somebody said, how do you step away from social media? Because I saw several of you saying like, oh my gosh, I was looking at my iPhone update and it's eye-opening how much time I'm spending on social sites. Yes, it is. And listen, you can say you're working all you want. And I know sometimes that you are, and I know a lot of it is connection. I get it. I believe in it. But also be weary. Weary? What? That's not.
Aware.
Right.
Yeah. What are you trying to say?
I don't know.
Like keep your guard up about it?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And be honest with yourself because and I know it's so easy to get on and work and then you're on the newsfeed watching people's cat videos. I don't know, right? It just happens. So be aware and set time limits. I post and I have my posts scheduled out. So I post on Online Steps page. I post on my business page on Instagram and Facebook. And then I post on my personal page about once a day. And I have all of those things scheduled out. And the goal is to schedule or to post it, get in and get out. And actually I say schedule. I don't schedule them. They're all written. I use an app called Plan. But I use that to write, schedule, look at all my posts and see what they're going to look like in the Instagram feed and all that stuff. But I still have to physically go in and post them every day. And so my goal is always get in and get out because it's hard. And I don't even have an addictive personality, but it's so easy to get sucked in. So just be aware. I think that's important. But I think you can step away if you're just intentional with how you're using social media. And if you have a business account, you can schedule things. So that's one of the things that we will do when we take a break over Christmas. So anyways. Leery, I think, is the word I was looking for, Barb.
Yeah. Oh, Laura said it.
Oh, yeah, and Laura. Yeah, they're trying to help me.
Leery.
Thanks, y'all, for helping me with things I can't say. I don't know what else.
She used to be an English teacher, guys. A little scary.
It is not. So,
in closing,
you're not alone. Mm-hmm. You're not the only person that's felt burnt out. You're not the only person that feels burnt out. Don't make excuses, though. Don't expect somebody else to do the work for you. If you are stuck, if you feel burnt out, it's time to move. And I realize that the movement might feel like walking towards the sea. It might feel like a dead end to you. That's where faith comes in. That you have to do your work and your part and let the rest happen. Also, would you just surround yourself with the right people? If you don't have the right people, seek them out and find them. If you're not registered for a world tour, you're not registered for an event, get registered. Go someplace where you have the opportunity to be with like-minded people. Even if it's not Scentsy people, other people in direct sales who are growing businesses. Put yourself around successful, smart, positive people and stop consuming negativity and crap because it's changing the way you're thinking.
Someone once told me that you're the middle of all the people you surround yourself with. So if you look at the 10 people around you, let's say, you're right in the middle. So you might have some really positive people, you might have some really negative people. The more that bubble shifts one way or the other, the more your personality is going to bend that way. So if you're a negative person, look at the people you're around. You're probably around some negative people, or you're consuming a lot of negative on social media. To add to one thing she said about how do I get away from social media, start slow. What do you think? Like, do a fast for a day.
Oh, yeah.
Literally delete it off your phone so you don't get any notifications. You don't get any of that. You can add it the next day, but that way you're not even tempted. And then do 2 days after a while. And then maybe around Christmas, delete it for 3 or 4 days. That way you can focus on your family. I promise you, as much as you think you're going to miss out on, you're not going to miss out on much. I constantly say, hey, did you see such and such's post? No? Oh, okay. Do you want to see it? No, it's okay. She'll say the same thing to me. It's just we've gotten to where there's a cluster of people around us that we really care about and we really care about the day-to-day. But then there's all these other people that we know and we love. But if we don't know every time they brush their teeth or every time they do something, it's okay. And it's not going to make any difference. And that's a time suck for us. So yeah, start off small. You'll be able to get away from it eventually.
Yeah. And stop doing things that aren't working. Don't go crazy or be crazy. If something's not working, change it, make it better, learn something different. If you are struggling with social media in that you're not getting what you want out of it when it comes to your business, there's a million ways to do it right. Well, maybe not a million. Actually, there's a million ways to do it wrong. There's a smaller amount of number of ways to do it right. But there are so many people willing to teach you how to do it right. So seek out people who know what they're talking about when it comes to social media. There's 1,000 classes you could take. I mean, seriously, there is so much to learn. And if you are stuck, you're burnt out, maybe it's time to move and grow and change. And I know it's messy and I know it's sticky, but you can do it. So I hope this was helpful. And yeah. Also, we'll be in Norman World Tour.
Maybe a couple others.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Thanks for joining us. We will see you again next Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. We can't wait.
If we have something to say.
If I have something to say.
She always has something to say.
Always have something to say, I guess. And I'll talk to you then.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
And all the videos. It doesn't have to.
You talk tonight, guys.
We're still on.
Oh, I don't care. Look at it, I was like, dang. She looks
What's
special.
happening?